those Mishpatim in front of them. That is Strong's number 7760, pronounced sum, and of course it means to set, to place. And it also, again, can mean to put something in an upright, erect position. Not only is he putting that in front of the children of Israel, it literally becomes a monument, a pillar in front of them, but it's again to serve the purpose to make them upright. Yishar El, those that stand upright before him. The word sum also can be used in a legal sense of charging someone, like in the case where a man would charge his wife with premarital sex. And so what you find is that the children of Israel have compromised themselves sexually with their pagan idolatrous practices. Yahweh brought them to Mount Sinai. They've been charged. Did you hear me? Somebody's got to pay the bill. It becomes clear that Yahweh is allowing the penalty for adultery to be paid by another, Messiah. He's the one that was suspended between the two men. He's placing before Israel the choice to conduct themselves as the fitting bride of the King of creation, to change their DNA and to change their nature. In conjunction with what I've been telling you, if you'll notice, you go back and look, you'll find there are 24 letters in this above verse. Again, 24 is a multiple of 12, and it's a multiple of 6. 12 is a number of governmental perfection. What's Yahweh trying to do? Prepare his bride to implement the standards of the kingdom. The number 6, again, is a factor representing the years allocated to man to rule the earth, and of course, the fact that the curse had subjected both the earth and man to bondage. On the 4th day or 4,000th year, 4 times 6, 24, one who's able to rule righteously appears. You see that number 6 again, connecting us to the me, the mem note. Are y'all getting any of this? Is it too complicated? Hello? No. Now, the same pattern can be seen in the heavens as what's seen here. You have the sign of the zodiac in the stellar heavens. It's based on a 360-degree circle. 12 constellations spanning 30 degrees each for a total, 12 times 30, 360, one full circle. As it happens, remember the 24 letters? The 240th degree in this particular cycle is represented by the constellation known as Sagittarius, the archer. Now this is important because the sign and the message conveyed by the archer, known as Sagittarius, is one of a gracious being riding forth to conquer his enemy. You see that fulfilled where? In Revelation, go figure, chapter 6. This month of Sagittarius happens to be associated with the 9th month of Kislev, the month we celebrate Hanukkah. Isn't it kind of odd? It seemed like we talked about 3s, 6, and 9, and the 18th Torah portion, and 9 being a factor of 18. You can see how all of these numbers are encoded in the Hebrew language and in this Torah portion. It happens that the month of Kislev is the month of Benjamin, the son of the Yod, the right hand, who will rule. Remember that number 9, 3, 6, and 9 are the most powerful vibration numbers associated with bringing healing and miracles and birthing to life. Now, I want to look at the word Shaphat. Mishpatim, the root of it, Shaphat. Let's look at the numerical value. The Sheen is equivalent to 300, Pei 80, and the Tet 9, 389. It happens, if you will do a little research, the numerical value 389 is the same as a phrase that you may not be familiar with, but it is Bain Ha'everim. And that is the phrase that means between the evenings. And that's when the Messiah was executed. The lamb was slaughtered between the evenings. You have the Yod suspended between the mems. Isn't that odd? Yahweh's just, leaving a few loose ends, hoping you can tie them up. It happened to be the time of creation's greatest Mishpatim, judging. You have, again, an instance here where you have bitter waters. The heavens have been made bitter because of the judging process. And so to follow that pattern, we looked at it, I believe, in Exodus chapter 19 through 20 we were talking about. I think you touched on it a little bit last night, where the branch was thrown into the bitter waters. Well, if you go back and look, you had the Messiah executed on a branch. In between the heavens, the yod suspended, the righteous branch that did what? Make the bitter water sweet. Can you see how powerful this is? You remember in Matthew 27, 50 through 51, when Yeshua is being executed and he cries with a loud voice, remember the words that are spoken? You remember what happens on Mount Sinai when the voice of the Creator is heard and the rocks rent, the earth quakes? Exactly the same thing happens here in Matthew chapter 27. Do you remember who's standing before Yahweh at Mount Sinai? An adulterous bride. You know who's standing at the foot of this branch that's stuck in the middle of these bitter waters? Mary Magdalene, the one who had been an adulterous bride. You see how powerful this is? The yod suspended between the two waters. It's able to take that compromised womb and make her whole and heal her. It's powerful. The next verse in Exodus chapter 21, verse 2 begins, if you buy a Hebrew servant. In the Hebrew, it's rendered ki, tekni, eved, ivri. Again, you see that Yahweh's trying to show Israel here that they've been bought with a price. You remember 1 Corinthians 6:20? Don't you know you have been bought with a price and you're not your own? He's telling them that his intent is to not treat them as slaves like their former master did, and thus that their servants should also be treated in the same manner that he's treating them. However, we want to look just a little bit further, because he's going to qualify those that are to be treated in this special manner. Did you know you are not obligated, listen to me, you're not obligated to treat everybody in this manner. That doesn't sound right. Let's just look at it and see. You'll find out how Yahweh treats those that are in right relationship with him. The word Hebrew is the word ivri. It means one who has crossed over. Literally, one who stands opposite of another or in opposition. And you have to ask yourself, to opposition to what or to whom? Well, of course, it would be the rebellious one. And then you have the word servant. Strong's number 5650 is the word ebed. And it means, of course, an obedient servant. So you could say this way. An obedient servant is one who stands in opposition to the rebellious one, and the obedient servant is one who has crossed over. So it now narrows the group to be treated as such. Only those that have withstood the rebellious one are to be treated in this manner. Do you see what I said? Both the rebellious and the obedient are presented in front of the mountain. They're represented as the waters of the womb, separated by the yod or the hand of Yahweh, the Torah of creation. It's the hand of Yahweh that separates. Now I want you to notice something. In the word ivri, back up, and in the word ebed, you'll notice the same two-letter root stem, ayin bait. Can you see that? Ayin bait. I want you, for the sake of what I'm about to share with you, I want you to take the ayin bait out and look that you have remaining the resh, yod, and dalet. Can you see that? Remember that, because we're going to look at it. The two-letter root stem, the ayin bait, is Strong's number 5645, pronounced ab. It's not av like father. It's with an ayin rather than an aleph. It happens to be an architectural term, and it means threshold, steps, like the steps that would lead you up into a porch or an altar. It conveys, in addition to that, the meaning of being covered. As soon as I saw that, it connected us immediately to the previous verse, the last verse of Jethro, the Torah portion, Exodus 20, verse 26, which says, neither shalt thou go up by steps unto my altar. Why? Because your nakedness would be discovered thereon. The term pray to nakedness, or nakedness be uncovered, was a term that's used throughout the Torah to represent one who had been defiled by sexual perversion. Are you hearing me? Now, listen to this. The first verse of our Torah portion begins with a conjunction. So When you see that conjunction attached to the phrase LLA, it's inferring, now these are for this reason or on account of this. Their nakedness. Now let's look at the word nakedness. Well, she touched on it last night, but it's important for you to see what Yahweh's trying to tell you. The word nakedness is the word ervah, and it's the same word used for uncovering, as I said earlier, the nakedness of one's father or the bed of one's father, which is what happened to Noah, David, Jacob, and it's exactly what happened to Yahweh when Adam and Eve did the same thing in Genesis chapter 3. It's also the term used for one who has physically been defiled or in a niddah condition. And so what Yahweh's telling us, that those that would come to the altar performing the role or the action of a priest could not be naked or in a niddah condition, or they could not minister to him. Do y'all understand what I just said? You realize he's talking to the bride? And did you realize that the bride is the one that's tasked with being the priesthood? Did you hear what I just said? That's important. If you look at the Hebrew letters that are left, remember I told you to take the ayin bet out, you have the resh, and then you have the yod and dalet. The resh means the chief one. The yod shows possession, my or mine. And then you have the dalet, which is the door, the entranceway, as in the entranceway to the womb. So what you could literally say regarding these words is that thus the bride's nakedness was supposed to be for my chief one. Her nakedness was the doorway to the womb. That's why Yahweh doesn't want her compromised. He wants her in a righteous, virtuous condition. Why? Because she belongs to his chief one, Messiah. And her nakedness and her nakedness alone was the doorway to her womb, and no other God with a little g. That's why you should have no other Elohim, little g, in front of him. The idea of being conveyed here is that the priesthood was the one would serve Yahweh, and so the priesthood could not be in an unclean condition, and that automatically disqualifies the vast majority of individuals that stand up here in front of the congregations, because a lot of them are in a niddah, unclean condition. Can you say amen? How much time do I have on that particular side? 2 minutes? I want to look at the next word where it says that lest your nakedness be discovered. And of course it's Strong's number 1540. Can y'all hold on for a second? I've got another few pages. The word for discovered is the word galah, which means to uncover. Now this is neat. It means to make something bare, as when a woman or a man would take their hair and remove it, pull it back, and expose the ear. It's inferring that when I do that, I'm about to have a secret revealed, okay? Lest your nakedness be discovered. In other words, when your nakedness is discovered, the thing that was secret and should only have been held between you and the husband, when that nakedness is discovered, you have intentionally made it bare, and you've revealed the secret thing that should have been between the two of you. Can you see that? Amen? The word galah then reminds us of hearing. John 18:10 tells us of Shimon Kepha, Simon Peter. Remember when Yeshua's in the garden and they come to take him prisoner? And Simon Peter, Shimon Kepha, Shimon Kepha meaning rock, the rock who hears. Are y'all hearing me? Hello, everybody, look at me for a second. Are y'all getting this? What happens? One called Malchus, the servant of the high priest, walks forward, and the hearing rock, which is a shadow picture of Messiah, because he was the rock that followed them in the wilderness. The word Malchus is the word in Hebrew for kingdom, Malkut, the kingdom. He was the high priest of the kingdom. That's who he represented. What happened? The rock that heard them turns around and cuts off the ear of this servant. Are y'all hearing what I'm telling you? Because of the idolatrous condition of Israel, their nakedness had been uncovered. When they moved the hair back, the ears exposed, and it cuts off their hearing. The secrets of the kingdom and those that were served in the kingdom were cut off. So from that point forward, we couldn't hear the message that Father was speaking to us regarding the secret things. If you'll hold on, we'll get to the latter part of this in track 3 of this CD. Shalom. Praise God.